Hello everybody, welcome back to the Bad Bookers of Wrestling podcast. My name is Jack, and today we've got another wrestling vlog for you. I'm on my own today. Got no friends, that's why.
Hello darkness, my old friend.
But today we are going to Progress's Hello Wembley down in London. No, it's not really London, outside London. Down in the SSE Arena, which is next to Wembley. It's going to be a fantastic day. We're going to have some fantastic wrestling. We're going to have Pete Dunne versus Dragunov, Tyler Bate versus Walter, obviously, and there's a massive tag team match which is going on. I can't even think what else is there. There's a triple threat for the Women's Championship, Toni Storm, Ginny and Millie McKenzie. There's a lot going on. There's a death match, Jimmy Havoc versus Paul Robinson. It's going to be fantastic. I've got to travel all the way down to London, or Hillingdon, which it is, and then catch the tube to Wembley. It's where's my phone? Is it in my pocket? It is. It's currently 8:01. Don't know if you can see that. 8:01. It's going to take me an hour and a half, I think, to get down to Hillingdon. Then probably I don't know whether I'll go straight to Wembley because the doors open at about, I think the pre-show's at 3:30. So I'm giving myself plenty of time, but we'll get there, we'll see how it is, and I shall catch you probably when we get to Wembley. See you in a minute.
I recall the past again tonight. It's in the front of my mind. As I fall apart, you begin to cry. The tears are making you blind. The future's far away, but I will stay. I will stay. Just take a leap of faith. We'll find a way for you and me. Can't look back.
Right, I'm here at Hillingdon. Turn that off, let's turn the engine off. It is currently 9:54 in the morning, so that gives us, pre-show starts at 3:30, I believe. Main show starts at 4. Doors open about 2ish. So what I think I might do is go into London, play a bit of Pokemon, just to pass the time. So as you can see, we're in Hillingdon. If it wants to, we're in Hillingdon. Nice little tube station. It's easy to get to from my house to get to London, so that's fine. Yeah, we catch the tube. Need to get my stuff ready and go into London. I assume it's going to be quite quiet in London. I've never been to London this early on a Sunday morning. But get into there and play some Pokemon, get some food because I'm starving. I haven't had any breakfast. And then make our way over to the SSE Arena and probably get there. We'll probably try and get there for 2 o'clock as the doors open because I want to see what's inside. I want to see the merch stores and whatnot. It'll probably be another B-roll kind of thing until we get to London. I'll see you in a minute.
Help me find the right words to say to get us back on our way. Can we try to fight against the grain of throwing out what we made? The future's far away, but I will stay. I will stay because I feel again. I feel again. Oh, now I feel again. We're bringing this back to life. We're picking up where we left off and on again. We never quite could forget, 'cause what we got so intense.
It's currently 10:30. I'm in just on the outskirts of Green Park, and I'm going to play Pokemon for a little bit up until about 1 o'clock, I think. You can see there. And I'm going to be here till about 1 o'clock-ish and then make my way over to Wembley, have a look around Wembley and then get into the arena.
independent professional wrestler. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you the Tsar, Ilya Dragunov.
It is the day after Hello Wembley, and what an event it was. Absolutely fantastic. I can't put into words how great it was. Everything about it, from the matches to the production to the crowd, were just incredible. Everything was on point during the event, and it was probably... I probably won't go to a better event in my lifetime. I'm just going to say that. Unless I go to like a WrestleMania or something like that. It's probably going to be the best event I ever go to in terms of just sheer fun. And considering I got into the arena at 2, or just before 2, and we didn't leave until just before 10, something like that. So about 8 hours in between. There was a gap in between, like halfway through. It didn't feel like 8 hours. It felt like a couple of hours because everything was just so fun. I wasn't tired by the end of it. Oh, my hands hurt, my throat hurt, but I wasn't exhausted or anything. The only time I got exhausted was like halfway down the drive home. So about midnight, I was like, bloody hell, like the adrenaline finally wore off and everything, and it was just fantastic. I heavily recommend that everyone tries to get to a Progress show, because they're doing absolute bits over at Progress by the looks of it, and I thoroughly enjoyed myself. But we're going to crack into the review. I've rambled long enough already. What was it? We're already 2 minutes into the review, but yeah, this video is going to be like half hour long. It's going to be a mad one. The review. We had the pre-show Battle Royal. Not going to lie, I don't know many of them, if or any of them. I knew Chris Ridgway. And that was about it. And it was won by Chuck Mambo, I believe his name is, who's a fun character. He was in the queue where I was beforehand. He was doing like a vloggy bit for something. I don't know what it was. But he seemed like a fun character, and he won the match, which the crowd loved. The crowd were loving it throughout. It was a fun match. There were comedy moments and whatnot. Yeah, it was just pretty good pre-show Battle Royal, if you ask me. It fitted the bill quite well. And yeah, Chuck Mambo won that. And then we had about a 5-minute break, and then we got on to the main show when Jim Smallman came out, did his bit with the crowd and whatnot, as he usually does. And you can tell he was emotional. He's in Wembley Arena when he's told he couldn't ever do it. And he's finally done it, Wembley Arena. Great, and he called out the first match. The first match was Mark Haskins versus Matt Riddle, and this was Matt Riddle's last match on the independent scene before moving to NXT and WWE. Obviously, he signed a contract. He was at the last Takeover, wasn't he, Matt Riddle? And this is his last. I assume he was already advertised. He's already booked up for all these events, and this was the last booking event that he had. And it was a pretty good match, if I'm honest. It was the first time I've seen... Let's be honest, it's the first time I've seen most of these wrestlers live. Obviously, I've seen the likes of Pete Dunne, Tony Storm, Tyler Bate through NXT UK. But the likes of Matt Riddle, I hadn't seen before. And it was quite cool to see him before he goes off to NXT. And the strikes were hard, and it was a great match. Mark Haskins ended up winning. You know, I would assume, as usual, when someone retires, when someone leaves a company, their last thing to do is to put someone else over. And this was what Matt Riddle wanted to do. There was a fantastic little bit at the end where the crowd are chanting "bro" constantly, like they usually do with Matt Riddle. And I think I've got a clip of it here. And yeah, there was hugs and whatnot, there was cheers, there was ribbons, and it was just a great send-off for Matt Riddle. And I can't wait to see what he does on NXT, because I think he can produce some very, very good matches. But next up we had the women's triple threat match between the champion Ginny, Toni Storm and Millie McKenzie. Millie McKenzie is over, everyone. She was the most over person in this match, and it had Toni Storm in. Like, the crowds were really, really hot to her, and it was a good match. It was a good triple threat match. Each woman got their offense in. Each woman looked strong. Obviously, Ginny, being the typical heel that she is, she tried to cheat. She had, I think, her couture, I think they're called. It was three, I don't know their names individually, but three other ladies, and they were getting involved in the match. Obviously, triple threat, no DQ. And the match ended with all three of the couture running in to Toni Storm. Toni Storm was stood there on her own, and two of her mates came down, and before you knew it, one of her mates, Laura DiMatteo, struck the other one, struck down Toni Storm, picked up Ginny, chucked her on Toni Storm, and Ginny retains the Progress Women's Championship. And something a little bit mad happened, which I've been following her work. She was at All In as well. I've been following her work for a little bit, because she keeps on popping up on my Twitter, and I was like, okay, I'll check it out. And then she appeared. That's right, Jordan Grace turned up for I think it was the first time she's ever turned up in Progress, and she started beating down all the couture Ginny and whatnot, and it was great. The crowd were hot to it again. She's been popping up on my Twitter every now and again, Jordan Grace. She's obviously at All In. Her work seems to be going around social media a lot more nowadays, and everyone's starting to see what she's really about, and she looks incredible. There's a reason why they call her Big Mama Pump, because she is hench. She's got muscles for days, and you can tell she goes to the gym. And yeah, the crowd are hot. She's obviously going to go for Ginny's Progress Women's Championship at some point, but it was great to see her come in and beat down, be a monster that she is. Next up, we had a sad match, a very sad match. We had Trent Seven versus Doug Williams, the Atlas champion, Doug Williams. And if Doug Williams lost, he would retire from professional wrestling. If you don't know who Doug Williams is, he's a massive legend on the British wrestling scene. He's been around for donkey's years, and he lost. So he's now retired from professional wrestling. Trent Seven is the new Progress Atlas champion. It was great. The crowds were proper behind Doug Williams. Obviously, he's a massive. Obviously, everyone loves Trent Seven, but Doug Williams, he's just a bona fide legend in the wrestling industry, in the British circuit. And the rest of the roster, once the match was over, came out onto the ramp, started clapping. Everyone was shouting, "Thank you, Doug." It was a great moment to be in. And I'm sure he'll enjoy resting up, because he's put a lot of years into this business, and you know, hopefully retirements are a bit here or there when it comes to professional wrestling, but maybe he'll stick to it, and maybe he'll put his feet up and start watching the wrestling. Either way, he looked fantastic in this match. Trent Seven put him over very well, and obviously, like the Riddle situation, If you're going to go out retiring, you're going to go out putting someone else over. And he put Trent Seven over, and obviously Trent Seven is the new Atlas champion. Next up, we had one of my favourite matches on the card. It was the death match between Paul Robinson and Jimmy Havoc. And if you don't know how over Jimmy Havoc is, just watch this video.
In Essex, this is Paul Robinson! And his opponent in the corner to my right. Weighing in at 169 pounds and hailing from Camden in London. He's the longest reigning Progress Wrestling champion in history and the king of the Goths, Jimmy fucking Havoc!
But Jimmy Havoc, man, the crowd are all behind him. There were spots for days, as you expect in a Jimmy Havoc death match. And yeah, it was just a fantastic story. Obviously, if you don't know about the story, previously, I think it was a couple of chapters ago, Jimmy Havoc faced Will Ospreay in a death match with Paul Robinson as special guest referee. Paul Robinson screwed over Jimmy Havoc, and he's beaten him before in death matches. They've had a massive rivalry going on either way, and it led up to this death match. And there was ironing boards, there was a door. I think Paul Robinson went through a door at some point. Frying pans, thumbtacks, light tubes, as you saw from the videos, going through light tubes. It was mad. It was pretty mad. But Jimmy Havoc won. The crowd were loving it. And then it was the perfect time. They placed it perfectly, because we went on a little intermission, a little break. Because to go from a death match to what was after the break would have been absolutely mental. It would have fried my brain. But thankfully we had a little gap in between, because afterwards we had this Thunder Bastards tag team match for the Progress Tag Team Champions. As you saw from earlier, all the entrances, that was in order of what came out. So we had Bandito and Flamita, the Progress Tag Team Champions. And then Sexy Star came out, and they started off the match. And then it's a bit like a Royal Rumble with tag teams. So every now and again, another tag team would come in. So we had Connor Mills and Maverick Mayhew come in next. We had Aussie Open, and then we had Anti-Fun Police, and then we had the Young Grizzled Veterans, and then we had CCK, and then we had the 198. That was a bit of a mouthful. It was fantastic fun. I thought it might be a bit convoluted. I've not seen a Thunder Bastard tag team match before. I thought it might be a bit like, what the fuck's going on? But it was really fun to watch. And it won't be match of the night, but it was just so entertaining. It was a great way to kick the show back off from the break. Like I said, Bandito and Flamita were the champions, but they are champions no longer, as Aussie Open picked up the win, pinning the Young Grizzled Veterans in Zach Gibson and James Drake. They pinned them for the win. I can't remember in which order each team got eliminated, because some teams got eliminated during someone else's entrance. But like I said, it was fun. Some bits you missed, whatever, there was a lot going on, but it was class, and I suggest watching it just because of how entertaining it was. Next up, we had what was billed as the biggest fight in Europe. Ilya Dragunov versus Pete Dunne. An absolute intense match. If you hadn't watched Progress before, I've watched bits and bobs, and I've seen this feud bubbling over in Progress. They had a bit in WXW as well, where Dragunov's that's like his wrestling home in Germany. Like I said, if you hadn't seen it before, you can tell that these two hated each other, and they just wanted to punch 7 shades of shit into each other, basically. And it was hard hitting, and it was basically, it felt like a big fight, because they'd billed it as the biggest fight in Europe. Who was the best independent wrestler in Europe? Pete Dunne is apparently the best wrestler in Europe, best independent wrestler in Europe, as he beats Dragunov in what was, like I said, a very, very hard-hitting match. Obviously, Pete Dunne being a local English lad, he was over, but Dragunov, people had obviously seen his work in WXW, and he was over as well. This was his first match in Progress, and the crowd were well into it because they could get behind both men, even if Dragunov was the heel foreigner, if you will, versus the local lads from England. But both sets of wrestlers had crowd behind them, and it was fantastic to watch. Pete Dunne picks up the victory, and afterwards, I don't think I managed to record it, but afterwards they both sat in the ring, cross-legged, shook hands, and then Pete Dunne told him to jog on, basically, and celebrated to the crowd, bigged up the crowd applause, you know, and he was loving life. So yeah, Pete Dunne beats Ilya Dragunov in. It was the second match of the night for me, and I'll get on to what was match of the night. Next up, just before the main event, we had a TLC match between Eddie Dennis and Mark Andrews, and this match was stolen by the tables. The infamous I Am the Table from Botchamania. Matthew from Botchamania will love this match because 3 tables refused to break. 3 tables. And the only time one broke was when this spot happened.
Thank you, whoever dies wins. Come on, Eddie! Come on, Eddie!
Off the massive ladder, through the table, and even then it broke, but it didn't break properly. It was still kind of together. It was mental, absolutely mental. Eddie Dennis picked up the win, as you can see here. He picked up the win after putting Mark Andrews through the table, and he now gets a shot at any time he wants against Volta. The way Jim Smallman said it, it was saying that he could do it for both Atlas and World Championship, but I assume it, mainly World Championship. So Eddie Dennis can cash in his contract. It's basically money in the bank, if you will, at any point against Volta or whoever the Progress champion is. It might be Tyler Bate. We'll have to wait and see. So yeah, next up, Tyler Bate versus Volta, the Progress champion. And what a match this was. This was by far my match of the night. Tyler Bate's a big, strong boy. He doesn't lie. There was just, it felt like Hulk Hogan versus Andre the Giant. They did the World's Strongest Slam spot, and throughout the match, it was kind of like, can Tyler get Volta down? Because, as you can see here, Tyler's about a foot shorter than Volta, and Volta's a bit heavier than Tyler as well. But I think there was about 3 times Tyler managed to get Volta up on his shoulders and either do an aeroplane spin or another move, and it was just incredible to watch. Volta smacked Tyler around with his chops, and Tyler sold them like they were death, and it was just absolutely amazing to watch. But eventually, Volta picked up the win against Tyler Bate. Obviously, Pete Dunne and Trent Seven, the rest of British Strong Style, were out to instantly go and see if Tyler Bate were okay, because they were both at ringside throughout the match, and they were bigging up the crowd to get on Tyler Bate's side. They did the job perfectly. They didn't affect the match. They just were there to big up the crowd, which was fantastic to see. Yeah, Volta, he's a big, strong boy as well as Tyler Bate, must say. They're both big, strong boys. It's Volta's chops. I knew Volta's chops were mental, but when you're sat as close as we were, it kind of feels like you're feeling them yourself. It was insane how loud he can get those chops. But yeah, Volta is still your Progress World Champion, and that was the main event for the evening. And like I said, every match had something going on. Every match was incredible in its own way. And it didn't feel like I was in the arena for 8 hours. The show wasn't 8 hours, but I was in there for 8 hours, and it did not feel like that at all. Like I said, it felt like 2 hours, which is perfect. That was Progress. Probably the best show I'll ever go to. Like I said, unless I go to a WrestleMania or something like that. But I shall leave you there because this video is like nearly 40 minutes long probably. If you like that video, please like, please subscribe if you're new around here or you haven't done so already. And please, please, please go watch a Progress show if you have time. I shall see you again later on tonight or tomorrow for a Monday Night Raw review. Sound good? Have fun. Thank you very much for watching.